Greetings, dear friends. Welcome to this session on Wednesday evening or afternoon, or whenever and wherever you are when you tune in to this teaching. We'll start with a meditation session, and then I'd like to offer a few words on dhamma, and then we can have some time, hopefully at the end, for some questions and kind of more interactive conversation. So big welcome to all, and I'd like to invite us to spend the first half hour of this session in meditation. So please come into this space and be comfortable, and just welcoming, a sense of welcoming to this mind and body, a sense of opening to what is present as we come into this space, as we sit in whatever posture, whatever kind of situation we're in. Let's allow the body to find its right posture, upright and relaxed, and to begin to bring the attention to bear on this simple reality of sitting here, being here, coming into the embodiment of physical, if you like, the realm of feeling, and closing the eyes is so helpful, isn't it? And just allowing the eye sense door to cease for a while. Enjoy the stillness. And if there's any sounds around, just to also leave them aside and come into the realm of feeling out this embodied experience, sense of having a body at all. What's it like, and how do we know that we have a body? So we feel what we feel. And it's helpful to pay attention to our understanding of body, to bring the attention through the body as we know it. That sense of the structure, the form, kind of anatomy here. But with a mind that's very open, a mind that is willing to, rather than imagining or picturing what's here, to actually see what can be felt, see what's happening. So we can know, some of us very well, the anatomy of the body, but we don't feel the anatomy. We don't even feel the exact shape of the body, do we? It's more like a field of sensation. But we can, with our knowledge of body, we can sweep the attention through and just see what can be known in each part of the body. We can start with the head. What's happening as we bring the attention around the scalp, the skull, top of the head? Really tuning into the kind of sensations, subtle, maybe vibrations, a sort of tingling or a pulsating, or whatever it is for you. what's happening here, the scalp area. And we can bring the attention down through the face, forehead, eyes, nose, around the mouth, cheeks. Just see what's happening here. How does it feel? And feel how it comes alive as we pay attention. We can recognize, oh, there's so much happening here that normally is not noticed. Moving the attention around the face, the jaw, coming down to the neck, and the sides of the neck, the ears coming down, and the back of the neck. As we pay attention here, coming down to the shoulders, just noticing the posture and the sense of how they're being held. And oftentimes we can start to notice things relaxing, face relaxing, neck and shoulders and jaw can start to soften. Let go of any tension quite naturally as we observe these parts of the body. And we can bring the attention down the arms, both arms, perhaps simultaneously. Just let the attention move through these limbs to the elbow and down to the wrists, and all around the hands. Taking your time and just feeling what's present right now in this part of the body. Warmth, coolness, tingling, any aches or pains that may be there. Aliveness, vitality, feeling around the surfaces. Mostly we feel the skin, all the sensitivity of the skin, the envelope around this body. But we can also see what can be felt deeper inside as we come up to the top of the trunk, chest area. Let's bring our attention to bear on the chest cavity. We know inside there's the lungs, taking in the air from outside, and the heart beating, pulsating, pumping the blood through the body. But what can we feel? How does it feel inside, in this area? Perhaps a heaviness, maybe some soreness here and there. Oftentimes we can feel emotion in this part of the body, sense of waves of feeling coursing through. The movement of the breath, rising and falling of the ribs and the diaphragm. But what can be felt? How does it feel? What's actually happening now? And we can move the attention all around, front of the chest, sides, back, and inside. We can actually kind of bring our attention right inside, can't we? And just see, how does that feel? Moving around and noticing even the most subtle sensations. And of course, as we do this, we are honing, sharpening, developing our sati, our mindfulness, and really focusing on what's present in this part of the body. And we can start moving down into the abdomen, the belly, the lower parts of the body, all the digestive system, all sorts of organs doing all sorts of incredible jobs to keep this body alive and healthy. We can't feel the different organs, but what can we feel as we bring the attention into the belly? Belly breathing also, moving with the respiration. Touch of the cloth, perhaps, on the skin. Warmth, heaviness, maybe some movement going on in this area. Maybe some emotion, some feelings of unease or relaxation and comfort or tension, fear even. So many possibilities, so many labels. We can also put the labels aside and recognize that what can be felt is really beyond any kind of labeling. It's just this. It's just like this. And just let the attention move through and explore, examine, investigate this part of the body. See what's happening moment to moment. Moving through, moving down into the pelvic region, base of the body, sitting, sense of the pressure as the body meets the ground, the weight of the body resting here, and all the organs and body parts at the base of the body here, the big bones, huge muscles. Well, how does it feel? What's it like? How do we know we have a butt? How is it? Can we feel the breath here as well? Is there any movement here? Any pulsation? What can be felt? What's happening here? And let the attention keep moving and bring it down gradually to the tops of the legs, the thighs, both sides together. You can move the attention down both legs, inside and out, down to the knees. It's like a scan. a whole body scan with wise attention and with kindness. Keep moving down from the knees, down the calves to the ankles, and down through the feet, right down to the tips of the toes. See what can be noticed, what can be felt, what can be known. And having slowly but surely given attention to this entire body sitting from the head to the toes, we can just see if the mind would like to tend towards scanning again. Or we may like to see what can be felt of the whole body experience. We can feel the whole body all at once if we choose to. It's different. It may be less subtle, less detailed observation, but we can see how it is to feel the whole body. Noticing the solidity, the weight of the body. Noticing the fluidity, the moisture, the cohesion, the holding together of this body. Noticing the movements in different parts of the body. And noticing the fire element, the temperature. These 4 elements, 4 components in this material realm, the 4 aspects. We can feel them. We can observe them here in this body. Well, it's so helpful for us to recognize these aspects and recognize that they are the composition of all material things, in all bodies, in all objects, this entire material realm. Weight, fluidity, movement, vibration, and temperature. So interesting to kind of divide up this body in terms of these qualities and to see where we notice them, where we notice the solidity of this one, the hard parts, the heavy parts, the structure. Where we notice the flow, moisture, water element. How the body is moving right now. What's moving? Where is there motion to be felt? Air element. And the temperature. Warmth and coolness. Fire element. And so I'd like to invite you to continue the meditation, considering the elements, considering what can actually be known here, and paying attention, coming again and again to bring the attention to this body, to learn it, to read it, to understand how it is in each moment, right here, right now. Oh. We can start to emerge from the meditation time. Just to note, at the end of the meditation, it's good to review how has it been and how able was the mind to stay focused on the body. How was it? How was the mind? How was the attention? And if there was thinking, if there were emotions coming and going, just to be aware. Oh, this is the situation at this point. And so we've had a chance to really touch home base, as it were, to be here. So thank you all for your meditation practice. And I'd like to say a few words on Dharma now, some Dharma sharing. And to begin with, I'd like to pay homage to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sangham namasami. So I was just reflecting as we were sitting on how when we practice meditation, we're really coming into kind of the reality of our existence, of our world. And, it's like a lot of the day-to-day life, our focus is on all sorts of things going on around us, isn't it? And it's a kind of more expansive, in a way, experience of the world. But we can recognize, can't we, when we practice meditation, that actually the world is all here. We're receiving, from the outside. And the sense of sight, seeing, gives us a feeling of space and distance. things out there, even considerably far away, and we can see, and they become part of our world. But the seeing, of course, is happening here. And so it is with hearing. Maybe slightly more limited range, but we can still hear sounds far and near. And yet the hearing is happening right here. And so it is with touch, more obviously, and taste and smell. And thinking, of course, it's all coming from here. It's all here. And our world, really, the world that we can know, is the world of the six senses. And it's very interesting just to appreciate that. The Buddha spoke about this so many times in so many suttas. The six sense bases, the six sense doors: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. And also he spoke about the 18 different realms, the Manopavichara. Mano, mind. Pavi is like a going out or going into. Chara is like a process, walking. So the ways the mind moves, the places the mind can go, the processes that the mind can enter into are just 18. There are 18 experiences we can have a way again to reflect on our world, our reality. That we have the six senses, the six sense objects outside, out there, seemingly, and the six sense doors that receive the input from these objects. And then there are the responses that we have. And for each of the senses, we can have 3 different kinds of response to any sight, any sound, etc., any thought. We can either have a feeling of that this is pleasant, can't we? This is pleasant, I like it. It gives a good feeling, a pleasant sensation arises. Or unpleasant, don't like, unwanted feeling arises, unwanted response, or response of not wanting, and neutral, neither particularly pleasant or unpleasant, just in between. And so these 18 different ways of experiencing the world, and we're constantly, bombarded, really, aren't we, with input, whether it's from the sense objects or from the mind itself. There's always something going on, and it's either pleasant or it's unpleasant or it's neutral. And so we're responding. We're so sensitive. We're so alive to all of this constant stream of input. And then there's these 18 responses playing out all the time. We're jumping from one thing to another very often. And the Buddha said, this is our world. This is our place. And if we can, learn to recognize and simply be present for this, understanding, really through meditation, through stopping and contemplating the Buddha's teachings, but also, and more importantly, experiencing this reality for ourselves through meditation, where we can, whereby we can kind of slow things down a bit, can't we? We can simplify things a little bit. We can start to notice how it is that when there's the willingness to be present, this is how it. This is what can be experienced. Liking and disliking, or neither, and the six senses giving us the world, creating the world right here. And the Buddha encouraged us to really open to this. It's a simplifying, but it's also noticing the diverse, the unpredictable, the relentless nature of experience, the reality of having a body that's so open and receptive and constantly feeling and feeling out, impacted by experience. And if we're wise, we just let it be that, just allow it to be just what it is. And how challenging it is not to make more of this simple reality, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking, happen due to causes and conditions. Yet we kind of roll around within these experiences, and we create even more. We create complexity, we create conceiving, imagining, we proliferate around these simple experiences. And it's very difficult not to do this, because we also have sankhara, we have mental formations, we have habits that incline us towards, picking and choosing experience, making much of this one and ignoring the other, and kind of skewing and distorting the this reality of being assailed by different sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts from moment to moment. So even though there's so much already going on to be observed and understood, we add much, much more quite often in our conceivings, in our proliferation, in our distortion of view, in our different ways of looking. It's like we have all different coloured tinted lenses in our spectacles, or we have a mood that overlies everything, and kind of tinges our experience in different ways. So, to notice this, to be able to keep coming back to the simple experience of being here, and the simple input, the receiving of sense input through the eyes, through the ears, through the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. If we can just be with that, the Buddha said, then such a person can be like a sage at peace, a Santa Muni, peaceful sage, silent sage, still sage, a still wise person, where the tides of conceiving do not wash over, do not sweep us away, don't carry us off. Carry us off from what? Sweep us away from where? From this moment, from this present experience. And so we can really hold fast, to one thing, and that is this present experience. And when we can do this, and body awareness, breath awareness helps us so much to keep coming home and anchoring in this present moment awareness. Then we can avoid getting caught up in the tides of conceiving, in the complexity, in the proliferation that happens when we're not awake and alert in each moment. So this being our world, let's wake up to it. Let's really be able to strip away the extra layers of suffering that we bring to bear, to add to the burden of simply being here. The sensitivity, the vulnerability, the awareness is all we need to really focus on, and to open to that, to really allow ourselves to live, to be alive, to be aware in this moment. I'm reminded the Buddha talks about these 18 ways of experiencing the world, the liking, disliking, and the indifference, in the sutta where he meets a wonderful seeker, spiritual seeker, an ex-king who abdicates when he hears about the Buddha's teachings. We're told in the commentary, this king heard the Buddha's teachings, and he left his incredibly opulent and privileged lifestyle and became a wanderer, just like the Buddha and the Buddha's disciples. His name was Pukusati, which, funnily enough, means something like rubbish collector. But nevertheless, he was said to be a king who'd renounced the world. And the Buddha met with him in Rajgir, and he was actually seeking the Buddha. He was looking out for the Buddha, but he thought the Buddha was somewhere else altogether. He thought the Buddha was up in Savatthi, which is like hundreds of miles to the north. Perhaps the Buddha sought him out. But anyway, he found himself greeted by this other wanderer, the Buddha, not recognizing him as the Buddha. This wanderer was asking if he could stay in a potter's workshop where Pukusati was staying. And Pukusati said, of course, please feel free. And so the two of them sat all night together in meditation. And the Buddha questioned Pukusati in the early morning, asked him, what is your practice? Who is your teacher? And Pukusati told the Buddha that he was seeking the Buddha, and he was on his way to meet him, to try and find him and pay respects to him up in Savatthi. And the Buddha didn't tell Pukusati who he was, but he started to give him dhamma teachings. And he talked to him about these sense doors, about the 18 ways in which we experience the world. And he went on to give him a very beautiful teaching. It's one of my favorite suttas, this sutta, and often comes to mind. Because the Buddha teaches the 4 foundations in this sutta. He teaches not the 4 satipatthanas, not the 4 foundations of mindfulness, but the 4 supreme foundations, parama, the ultimate, the highest, the superior foundations for practice and for the path. And these are, he's really speaking about the practice, the way of practice, but also the fruits of practice, the results of our practice. And these 4 foundations that the Buddha gives, these ultimate qualities. The first is wisdom, panya. The second is truth, satya. The third is relinquishment, letting go, chaga. And the fourth is peace, santi. And in describing to Pukusati this first supreme foundation of wisdom, the Buddha speaks about the elements, just like we had time to consider them in the meditation. Actually, the 5 elements. and recognizing that the entire material realm, and so all of our experience of being here physically, is an experience of 5 elements. And to be able to consider the material world in terms of these qualities is very helpful for us, to enable us to see how impersonal it all is. This body is made up of 5 qualities. So there's the earth element of hardness, solidity, form, the water element, cohesion, fluidity, the fire element, temperature, the air element, movement, and the space element, the cavities, spaces in the body that enable breathing, digesting, and so forth. And so if we bring the mind to these considerations, these contemplations of the 4 or 5 elements, we can really cool down the sense of self, and we can let go to a great degree of these tides of conceiving of all of the complexity of the world that we're receiving through the sense doors. And this is where meditation really offers us an opportunity, doesn't it, to wise up, develop wisdom, come into the body and consider what it's made of, how is it, and to consider the 18, as I said, the 6 senses receiving, and our relationship to what's received, liking, disliking, or indifferent, neutral feeling. The Buddha encouraged Pukusati to consider the world in these ways, and he said to him that if you really pay attention to this world of the 6 senses and the liking, disliking, or indifference to what's received, then you can see that there is nothing but cause and effect playing out. Beautiful sight, pleasant feeling. Raucous sound, dissonant sound, unpleasant feeling. Neutral odor, neutral feeling, and so forth. And we can see that there's nothing personal in these responses. There's just cause and effect. Things happen and there are resultant feelings. And to be able to see this, to be able to separate out, to step back from this whole maelstrom of experience, and to simply see it in terms of cause and effect in this way, is to develop wisdom. The Buddha said it's like fire sticks. You take 2 fire sticks and you rub them together and you get fire. If you put one of them down, then you're not going to be able to get fire. If you don't have the fire sticks, either of them, no fire. If you have a sight and you have someone to receive it, then you have a response. It can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. But the point is that there's nobody orchestrating any of this, and there's no need, therefore, to create anything out of these experiences. Just to let them be what they are is to begin to see more clearly, to understand the way things are, to develop panya, to develop wisdom. And as we kind of keep observing the elements, observing the senses, observing the world as we can experience it here, then we start to develop this beautiful quality that I spoke about last time of equanimity, upekkha, upekkha, a kind of evenness, kind of calm, witnessing, a smoothness, an unruffledness. The more we observe clearly and simply through practice this world, the more we can experience this even-mindedness, this calm, upekkha. And the Buddha likened this in the sutta. The Buddha's speaking to Pukusati. He said it's like a goldsmith who's got the crucible, he's got the material that he's turning into gold, he's purifying it, and he's holding it in the flame, the high heat of the crucible. And sometimes he'll blow on it, sometimes he just lets it be there, sometimes takes it out of the heat. And in all different ways, the encouragement is that this can purify, this gold can purify. And I'm helping it to purify, the goldsmith, through this wise attention and holding it in this flame of presence, present moment, present awareness. And we can do this with our lives, the life that's playing out here, cause and effect. It's simply a process. We can either be immersed in the process and kind of identifying with it and struggling with it and striving around it and carrying it like a heavy burden, or we can sit back and observe cause and effect, this resulting in that, and just allow this part of the mind to really grow and develop, and the witnessing, just like the goldsmith holding the gold in the flame, in the crucible, to be able to really pay attention. We can then really not be swept away by any tides of conceiving whatsoever. We're simply here. Wisdom can develop. The Buddha said this is the supreme foundation of wisdom. Even unto death, even as we come to our last moments of life, we can have the same attitude, just observing, breath by breath. There's just so much vitality left now. There's a fading away that's happening. The body is beginning to collapse, to fall away, and to have this kind of intent, almost like scientific, like open awareness to what's actually happening without any complexity. If we can live our life mindfully and follow the Eightfold Path, live a virtuous life, live a harmless life, and develop the practice, then we can approach every moment right up until the last breath in this way, alert, attentive, and present for whatever's actually happening, seeing the input, seeing the responses, and not making it personal. The Buddha said it's like a lamp, a light, this life. We just have this much vitality, this much energy, this much bodily fitness, bodily health. It's like the wick of the lamp, dipped in the oil, the fuel is there. And slowly but surely, in this mortal realm, we're using up the oil. The oil's being burned up, drawn up into the wick, providing the fuel for the flame. And we can observe, if we're really awake and aware to the situation, we can often tell, how much is left, what more is there, how much more fuel is there. And we can notice when it starts to run out, we can, just be really interested in observing the process right up to the moment of passing away. Can we be aware of our last breath? Can we be open to this incredible transition, incredible cessation, opportunity to really fully let go that comes to us at the end of life? So the Buddha said, this ability to observe, this ability to be aware and awake, this is the ultimate, the supreme wisdom. And it's a foundation for us. This is what we're growing on the spiritual path. And the second supreme noble quality that the Buddha spoke to Pukusati about was truth, satya. What is the supreme truth? What is the ultimate truth? And of course, we probably know through our study of the Buddha's teachings that the supreme truth is the truth of nibbana, letting go of all the greed, hatred, and delusion, letting go of all the distortions of view, letting go of everything that we know, the extinguishment, the cessation, the end. And it's not annihilation, because in order for something to be destroyed or annihilated, it has to exist. So it's not that, but it's more like the seeing through of the fabrications, of the creations, seeing their unreality, letting go of that, allowing all of that to cease, allowing the extinguishment of delusion, of illusion, of ignorance. This is the ultimate truth. This is the superior truth, the primary truth that the Buddha spoke about to Pukusati in this sutta. And he said, you need to cultivate this. Allow yourself to make much of this quality. Wisdom, truth, and the third foundation, the noble, superior relinquishment, chaga, the Buddha said, is the relinquishment, the letting go of all defilements. Again, all the obscurations, letting go of greed, letting go of desire, letting go of aversion, and letting go of delusion. And it's beautiful to me. This word chaga, it means kind of giving away. So there's an aspect of generosity here also in this relinquishment. It's like a giving away what we think we have, what we think we own, letting go of that. And I love that the Buddha here says that it's like the ultimate generosity, the greatest gift, the greatest giving that can be done is the giving away of greed, giving away of hatred, giving away of delusion. This is the supreme chaga, the supreme relinquishment. Letting go of all our attachments, letting go of all our holding. Holding to what? Holding to suffering. Being willing to let go of that. Letting go of the identification with this world, making it mine, making it me, making it myself. In these ways, we can be so super generous. This is the way to really cultivate generosity. Give it all away. Anything that I relate to as me and mine, let it go. I don't mean you have to give up your home, so you have to, be homeless unless you want to ordain, which is a really good idea. But if you don't want to do that, I don't mean to give away all the possessions, all the useful things we need around us, the ways in which we survive, but to give it up here, to let go of the sense of ownership, to let go of the sense of leaning upon, depending upon, not letting our possessions be props for the mind, for the heart, recognizing them as what they are, passing through, useful but already broken, not me, not mine, not really belonging to me. How can I own anything? I don't even own this body, don't even own this consciousness. Recognize it's all passing through, seeing cause and effect. So this is the ultimate generosity. And of course, what helps us to let go of all the attachments, of all the suffering, is to develop generosity in any way we can, to develop generosity in giving, kindly, sharing, offering, giving that which we love, sharing it with others. But the ultimate, the supreme relinquishment the Buddha encouraged Pukasati to develop is the relinquishment of all the attachments, of all the delusions. And again, finally, the fourth of these spiritual qualities that can be a foundation for us. Just to recap, the first is wisdom, the wisdom of seeing clearly. The second is truth, satcha, the truth of the way things really are, nibbana. And the third, chaga, relinquishment, letting go of everything. And the fourth is peace, santi. How to cultivate the supreme peace. And the Buddha encouraged Pukasati to look at the causes of suffering, see them right down to the roots. What are the roots of our suffering? What are the ways in which we distort and contort and distort reality in ways that torment and torture us? Greed, wanting, desire, hatred, aversion, not wanting, and confusion, delusion, ignorance, not seeing. To be able to uproot these defilements, this is the way to experience the supreme peace. And so in these four ways, we can have a sense of four qualities that can really aid us on the path, and where the path is also leading us. It leads us into a more and more sense of reality, what's true, what's real, what's not real presents itself to us again and again, and we can move through and let go of the unreal, moving closer and closer to the ultimate truth of Nibbana. And we can develop wisdom through our meditation practice and through this kind of willingness to let go of identification, to let go of selfing as we experience in meditation the impersonal nature of our moment-to-moment feelings, thoughts, perceptions, body awareness. It's all just streaming on by, isn't it? It's all passing through. So to be able to open to that and thereby develop wisdom, to be able to let go, to be able to give up to be able to give away any sense of me and mine, any sense of certainty, any sense of permanence, just to be able to let it all go, whatever we're experiencing. As the Buddha said, the truth is always other than that. Anything that can be experienced can be let go of. So this ultimate letting go, just to really bring that to the forefront in our practice and allow chaga, this quality of relinquishment, to develop. And then peace, peace. Peace is with us every step of the way. Peace is the way. It's a gradual, perhaps, but a very sure movement towards rest, towards relaxation, towards stillness, towards calm, towards equanimity. This peace is the path and is the end of the path. And just to say again, the supreme peace, the parama, the excellent, the highest peace, is the peace of letting go of all the defilements, greed, hatred, and delusion. The ultimate peace of nibbana. And all four qualities, letting go, wisdom, peace, and truth, are pointing four different ways perhaps, but all four are pointing directly towards nibbana, towards the ultimate, towards that which is indescribable, towards that which is the goal of all our spiritual practice. So I wish you all well with this journey, and may these qualities be of great benefit on the path, and may they keep developing in each one of us. And I'd like to encourage people to have a look at the sutta I'm speaking about, where the Buddha meets with the ex-king who's renounced the world, Pukusati, who's seeking the Buddha and who's found the Buddha. And at the end of the Buddha's teaching, in this sutta, it's called the Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. It's Majjhima Nikaya number 140. At the end of this sutta, Pukusati realizes who's been talking to him, who's been teaching him, and he apologizes for not having realized and having kind of addressed the Buddha in a somewhat familiar way as friend. It's very touching. The Buddha actually probably sought him out and found him, and he's spent the whole night meditating with the Buddha. What a privilege, what an amazing thing. And then he realizes, oh my goodness, it's the Buddha who's teaching me these four qualities. It's the Buddha who's guiding me. And he asks to please go forth as a disciple of the Buddha. And of course the Buddha says yes. You just need to go get yourself a bowl and get some robes, and you can ordain. And actually Pukusati leaves and goes out to find a bowl and robes, but he's killed by a stray cow on his way, and he dies. And afterwards the monks go to ask the Buddha, what happened to Pukusati? What was his destination? And the Buddha says to them that he understood the teaching very well. He could receive the teaching and put it into practice and realize the meaning fully. And he will not be returning to the human realm. He is bound for Nibbana. He had become a non-returner, just one more lifetime in a realm of existence where he could practice very fully, and he was inevitably going to become an arahant. So it's a very beautiful story, and account of this remarkable meeting. And I encourage you to read it. There's a lot more in the sutta, and I can only give a very poor summary, but it's a very beautiful and full and rich teaching. And actually, there's so much in this one sutta that one could apply oneself to the whole life and, benefit from practicing with these words from the Dhatuvibhanga Sutta. So I encourage some study of that sutta. I'm going to finish speaking now and invite questions. And so I'm going to have a look at their chat, see if there's anything I can respond to. Thank you all for being here live. Janaki, Janashwar, Kumu, beautiful Thai writing. I don't know how to read. Welcome. Yankee Apple, Upasika Metika, Jitu, Wasanta, Christine, Sud, Maisie, Faize, Geetha, Shui, Mom, Joy, Deep Barua, Kumar, Kim, Amaranta, Kumu, and Dor La La. Welcome all. And I have a question from Sud. Thank you, Sud. Dear Ayya, how did the Buddha approach repetitive behaviors that some people engage in? For instance, there are so many people in this world addicted to cigarettes, etc. Did Buddha give any advice? Thank you, Sud. Yeah, I don't know if they had cigarettes at the time of the Buddha, but no doubt they will have had various substances that people could get addicted to, or behaviors, or ways of thinking, moods. We are creatures of, we have a tendency, don't we, to get obsessed with pleasant feeling. Even actually also we can get obsessed with unpleasant feeling and even get addicted to that. But certainly anything that gives us a rush of pleasure, pleasant sensation, can be something that we might find ourselves inclining towards. And it can obsess the mind sometimes. The idea of getting more of the pleasant. Nowadays we have, like cigarettes, nicotine, maybe drugs of all different kinds that people can get very sadly, completely, overwhelmingly addicted to, even to the point where there's tremendous physical harm and suffering, but still there's that little bit of pleasure there that people want to return to again and again. We can get addicted to things like tea, coffee, stimulants of different kinds, sugar, which gives us such a kind of hit of pleasant, cooling, delightful sensation. We can see how children can be really kind of taken with sweets. And I can remember as a child, looking forward to growing up so that I could get lots of money, go to work and get money so I could buy, large quantities of sweets from the sweet shop. And, we start to recognize as we grow a bit older that there are drawbacks to consuming large quantities of sugar, and we kind of learn, don't we, how to moderate. And if we're fortunate, we have enough resources, we can let go of these pleasant but rather harmful habits, or we can moderate them. And then others are, vulnerable to getting caught up in addiction. And some people say, I believe that it's to some degree almost a medical issue, that some people are particularly sensitive to getting hooked on various substances. And so we can have a lot of compassion for this struggle that we all have with the tendency to get addicted to this, that, or the other. And let's remember that I'm talking about all sorts of things we put into the body through the mouth or in other ways, but actually we can also be just so addicted to habits of thinking, ways of being. And this too can be, of course, a source of great suffering for us. The Buddha's teaching us in so many ways how to work with addiction. You could call it desire. It's just a matter of degree, isn't it? So craving, desire, wanting. If it's turned up, if it's very heightened, very strong, then we can call that addiction. But the root problem is that of wanting, and oftentimes it's wanting the pleasant. And so all of our practice is really about noticing where there's a pleasant feeling, what happens. We start to want and desire more of it. And can we notice that? Can we be aware of that? These 18 realms that we experience, 6 senses, liking, disliking, or neutral. And, we can watch the interplay, and we can, through paying attention, actually, and really being aware of what's happening, we can often notice and catch the kind of tendency to grasp at the pleasant, the tendency to push away the unpleasant, the tendency to kind of drift off when there's neutral experience and barely notice it. So we have a handle then on desire. We're not slaves of desire. We can notice wanting, and we can observe that, and we can see how it arises and then it passes away. And we don't have to follow every desire. So to me, I think, my sense is that addiction is like it's simply an exaggerated form of desire. Sometimes overwhelming, yes, but it is possible to work with even the strongest and most obsessing desires and slowly whittle away at them, So it reminds me a little bit of my teacher Goenka describing, some sankharas, some habits are like a line drawn in water. They're very easy to let go of. They come and go. They don't make any great mark on us, on the mind. The mind isn't stuck in a rut with these. They come and go. Other habits are like a line drawn in sand. Again, they may have some momentum, some push, some tendency to recreate the same habits, but not very strong, quite easy to let go of, quite easy to see through. But then other habits, sankhara, are like a line drawn in rock. They're deep, they're lasting, they have a real strength to them. And in the same way, I'd say maybe you could say addiction's like a line drawn in a rock. It's going to take time to really uproot such strong habits, but it can be done. And, in Thailand, they have monasteries where people who have strong addictions, such as alcohol or drug addictions, are invited to come and practice and given the support, the dhamma support, as well as physical, medical support, to be able to work with these really strong, powerful inclinations of the mind to do a particular thing, to take a particular drug, to find a particular kinds of alcohol, and just keep, taking in, recreating, getting that pleasant hit that's not really very pleasant at all, but it's just such a strong addiction. And so we can work away. We can work with addiction. We can slowly, have the willingness to abide with a really strong craving and just sit with it, not act on it. And this is really, in a way, true for everybody, whether we have strong addictions or not. This is how we need to be able to relate to desire, isn't it? This is the meditation practice that we are engaged in, learning to witness and not participate in the flow, in the momentum. And so to free ourselves up, to be able to step back from the flow of cause and effect, to step back from the karma, and to really release ourselves from any compulsions, any desires, any addictions whatsoever. So I hope that's a helpful response for you there, Sid. Okay, I have a question from Faize. There we go. Dear Ayya, could you explain how life is in Brahma realm when they don't have any desire and they don't eat or sleep, then how they live or interact with each other? I don't know much about the Brahma realms, Faize, except the little bit that I've taken in from the Pali Canon. I'm aware that the Brahma realms, the realms of the gods, very high realms of existence where there's no body, although there's a very subtle presence, material presence or some kind of presence, but very subtle, very ethereal, no aches and pains, no need to eat and sleep and defecate and urinate and so forth. By comparison, these human bodies are very coarse, foul, and the predominant mind state in the Brahma realms, my understanding is that there's really no space, there's no possibility of kind of negative, harsh, hateful, averse mind states, but the dwelling places of the gods mentally are in love, metta, karuna, compassion, joy, mudita, and equanimity, upekkha. So these sublime abidings, these are the abidings in which the gods dwell. And for a very long time, they can be enjoying the really peaceful, blissful states of mind that these divine abidings are. That much I can say. How do they interact with each other? I don't really know. I feel that these qualities, at least, are quite, impersonal. They're not self-referencing. They're kind of unconditional. So these energies are really something, maybe a sense of them radiating forth from these realms, within these realms. The one thing that's significant to me and of importance to me is to know that the Buddha was really saying that even these most high, blissful, divine abidings that can last the life can be for so very, very long. It's inconceivable to us humans how long the lifespan of the gods can be, and yet, they are in samsara. They are part of the wheel of existence, the rebirth, death and rebirth of samsara. And so even the lives of the gods come to an end. And when they do, there's only really one direction in which one can go, and that's generally down. And so there's a maybe suspension of suffering, but then a return, falling back into the realms of suffering. So, the Brahma realms are not realms to aspire to. They're not places to look to for our happiness, ultimate peace and happiness. We want to be able to go beyond. And so not to be too attracted to or too enticed by these possibilities, because even the heavens are finite, are peopled by mortal beings. This is the teaching of the Buddha, and the encouragement is to let go of all possible rebirths and to allow ourselves to stop, to let go, to allow cessation, to allow reality, to allow the truth of Nibbana. This is the only real peace and happiness that can be known, that can be experienced, that is not subject to change. So I hope that's helpful. Sort of response to your question there, by saying thank you for that. We just have one more question, nearly out of time, so let me see if I can briefly respond to you, PL and Indira, and thank you. Whatever you frequently think about, craving becomes the inclination of our minds. Yes, that's beautiful quote, and thank you for bringing that in. So helpful and so significant a teaching. This is how it is. We create our worlds in this way. Do they become habitual tendencies or addictions? Yes. Is it the origin of addictions? Indeed, yeah. Thank you for that, because, yeah, every addiction starts somewhere. Something comes out of nothing, and that something is the kind of repetitive habit, the inclination to come back again and again to some particular experience, to make it re-happen, to recreate. We have to be very careful, because speaking about the Brahma realms and speaking about meditation, we can experience very positive, very blissful, very rapturous, peaceful abidings in our meditation practice. Let's remember, this is not the goal of this spiritual practice. This is not the end of the path. These are experiences that also need to be seen through, need to be relinquished, need to be given up, given away. Don't fall for anything less than the ultimate peace of Nibbana, i.e., don't hold on to any particular experience. Be willing to move through, to let go, to keep relinquishing. And in this way, we're moving inexorably towards Nibbana. And so let's see if we can allow all the obsessions, all the addictions, all the desires, all the aversion, all the blindness to fall by the wayside as we continue to practice these beautiful teachings from the Lord Buddha. So, yeah, time's up. Thank you, Sud, for your restraint with questions. Much appreciated. It's always hard to end, but this is the end. Let's see if we can all let go into it. And thank you so much for your kind attention and for your good practice. Good wishes to one and all.